Dudes, I realized I didn't finish my presentation on water contamination, so I'm going to do that now. One of the places I wanted you to visit was this website right here. It's basically a video on water pollutants. I thought it was really good, and I thought it was really important for us to talk about. So I'll let you check that thing out on your own. Let's talk about the different kinds or the classifications of water pollution. I think I'm going to run this video or this presentation less off of a PowerPoint and more on Google search. Just basically to show you, I don't know, to switch it up a little bit. The difference between a point source and a non-point source pollution is a point source is a pollutant that is coming from a concentrated or originating point, like a pipe from a factory or a large registered feedlot or some specific point of discharge. Here's what I mean. I think this might be the best picture for me to see and show you. This oil or shale or whatever it looks like it's coming from this one specific area, probably a pipe that's kind of leading out over there. That would be a point source. It's from a specific point, or like, this would be a good point source pollution. There we go. Is this pipe, that is some disgusting water that's being leaked into the lake over there, and that would be a point source pollution. A non-point source pollution would kind of be the opposite of that. It's basically if a pollutant is detected in concentrated water source such as a stream, river, or lake from a wide range of sources. The pollutants come from sources the common person has control over. So like a non-point source pollution would be coming from the city or from like the crops and whatnot, or from animals and livestock from farms, or from suburban development. 1 second, I gotta pause the recording. All right, sorry about that. I'm sorry, some student came in to ask me a question. Anyway, the non-point source pollutions is something coming from a large area. I think maybe one of my favorite pictures for that would be, well, let's see. Even though the air pollution air pollution is kind of a non-point pollution source. If you want to talk about like the specific pipe that the exhaust comes out from your car, that's a point source. But then if you're talking about all the cars in the city, that would be a non-point source. All right, let's see. What types of water pollution is there? There's water pollution associated with sedimentary. And that would basically be, it looks like a bunch of dirt and stuff like that in the water. It's actual particles of rocks broken up in the water. And what causes that? Well, what causes sedimentary or rocks to break down into sediments? That would be wind and water erosion of soils, because the soil is the dirt that kind of runs off into the water, and it creates all of this water contamination. Another type of water pollution source is animal and waste. I think I call it nutrients and animal waste. Now the nutrients and animal waste, these would be things like your fertilizer from farms, because fertilizer contains poop in them, or animal waste. And so I think that the best picture for that would probably be something like this. If it were any bigger, that'd be great. Something like, I had a nice picture of an aerial. Maybe this. Let's see. Oh yeah, something like that. That's gross. All right. I remember I found one last time. Like all the cows pooping in the water. That would cause some definite pollution in the water. And then also from water treatment plants. Like basically they have them everywhere, because the sewage water that we want to send out to the sea needs to be treated before we do that. But what happens if there's a spill or something like that? All right, another water pollution source would be from pesticides. Now, the pesticides sprayed, the farmers would use the pesticides so that way they can basically grow more crops and whatnot. But the problem, and the bugs won't get to the crops, so then, I mean, that's a good thing for the farmers. Those kinds of pesticides leak into the water table and our water source. And we're talking about herbicides or insecticides or fungicides, basically anything that ends with the word ides is kind of or sides is basically your pesticide kind of type of water pollution. And so this pesticides actually go into our water table, our water source, and pollutes these things. So that's definitely something you want to stay away from. I put salt as a category, and I think that one of those, the best source that we can talk about would be like applied rock salt. And I know that this doesn't seem like it would make much of a difference, but I mean, there's the mining salts that we would have, and also we put a lot of salt on the road up in the mainland because, oh wait, that would be a good picture right here. This one looks good. All right, anti-icing, because what we want to do is get the ice off the road. So the ice, the salt lowers the freezing point, or no, it raises the freezing, no, it lowers the freezing point of water, and so therefore what happens is the ice will, or the salted ice water will melt. Actually, the salted ice will melt into water. And then you have salt water basically flowing off into the drains. But the problem is that stuff can leak into our water supply, and that would be a big problem. Okay, let's see. Which page am I on now? Now we're going to talk about some toxics. Or toxins. All right. Toxins that you would create as far as water pollution is, dude, that's super gross. Mainly the stuff that we manufacture and refine. And when humans make things like oil or paint or antifreeze, actually, let's see an antifreeze spill. Which, again, people in Hawaii don't have a whole lot of, a whole lot of experience with antifreeze because, I mean, your car needs it per se, but I mean, we don't have freezing cars in Hawaii. But antifreeze, see this green stuff that comes inside the bottle? That's actually super, super deadly if you drink. Some people give their dogs, or not, some people, I've heard of cases where a dog has accidentally drank up, like, say, the water on the ground, and it's actually antifreeze, and they died. In fact, I've heard of, like, cold case files where the wife fed the husband antifreeze, and he died. And so it's pretty bad stuff. Let's see. There's another type of, industrial types of contamination. Let's look at that. Industrial contamination, I would categorize those as your heavy metals, resin pellets, some organic toxins, oils, nutrients, solids, chemicals. Those kinds of things come from the industrial process. So in making certain kind of products, companies will probably need to throw, they put certain kind of heavy metals inside of the water that they're using. And maybe that's not on purpose. I mean, it's not like they want to do this. Actually, I don't know if it's, we can get into a political debate and say whether or not they do this because, they want to do this, or they don't know, or they don't care, and they're just talking about making money and that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is they do. And maybe it's because the water that they're using is to cool something or to wash something off, and then basically that water picks up these kinds of different kinds of heavy metals, for example, like lead and copper. And lead is not necessarily a well. You need iron in your body. You don't need lead in your body. That you can do without. Cadmium, that's something that's commonly found, and that really messes people up. Mercury's found in fish in natural quantities, but it's also found in a lot of chemicals, and that will mess you up. Arsenic, that is actually a straight up poison. And copper could leak in from copper pipes and all of that kind of stuff, and that is not really good for you if you're ingesting a lot of that. So, what are we talking about now? Okay. What kind of water pollutants come from your agricultural activity? So again, this would be our fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides and those kinds of things. That's coming from the farmers and the agricultural farming that they do. All right, let's talk about some common household water pollutants. All right, water pollution in the home. What kind of? Oh wait, that's not a nice slide. Let's see. Common household water pollutants, I would say, would be your cleaning chemicals, definitely. What other kinds of things? The soaps that you use, or the laundry detergent, or the food that you put in. Because remember, anything that is not supposed to be in pure water is a pollutant in essence. And so, like all the food debris and whatnot that goes inside, or you know what's really gross is the grease. If you pour the grease straight down your faucet, you know, I don't know if your parents ever do this, but a lot of times they put the grease and the grime and all that junk from the pan after you cook like a lot of bacon or something like that into a glass jar. At least that's what I do at home. And the reason for that is, first of all, it doesn't clog my pipes because the pipes get all corroded and whatnot. But second of all, I don't want it going into our water system. I want to go, I want to throw it away and put it, put it in some place that it can be handled properly. What kind of diseases is related to water contamination? All right. There's some pretty crazy gross ones that are all related to water pollution. Some diseases of water pollution. Cholera, kidney stones, diarrhea. Let's see. Elephantitis. That one's a crazy one. Let's see, I think this might be a picture of elephantitis. It's actually pretty gross. Well, I don't want to say gross. It's a disease, and it's very sad to see this happen to people. Let's see, fluorosis, hookworm disease, malaria, typhoid, trichomia, cystitis. It's really sad to see the kind of types of diseases that are associated with water pollutants, and this is actually the reason the extreme importance of why we would need to purify our water, because this is a terrible thing that's happening around the world. Anyway, that's my finish off presentation on water contaminants and how we deal with them.